What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Zero Lab. Today we're taking a look at the results from a 1,000 player online tournament for Pokemon TCG Pocket. This was a massive tournament, more than 1,000 players, tons of cash prizing on the line, and we're going to be taking a look at the results, the top 8 decks from this tournament. I don't think it's going to surprise a lot of you to see what won, but it will be interesting nonetheless to see the results from such a enormous tournament. Honestly, this is crazy that the game has grown this much already, that we have this many people wanting to participate in an online event, and I hope that this signals, great interest in the future in, IRL events for Pokemon TCG Pocket, maybe becoming a part of the World Championship Series. If the game continues to grow, they continue to release more cards, and people stay interested in competitive Pokemon TCG Pocket. But moving on here to the 8th place list, it is a Pikachu Electrode deck, a 2/2 Electrode in here with that Electro Ball attack for 70 damage for 2 lightning energies. It also has that free retreat. We have 2 Pikachu EX, 2 Zapdos EX. Pikachu EX with that Circle Circuit attack for 2 lightning energies does 30 damage for each of your benched Pokemon. Then the Zapdos has that Peck Attack for 1 energy, does 20. And then for 3 energy, it has that Thundering Hurricane, which does 50 damage times the number of heads you flip off of 4 coin flips. Then rounding out the list with 2 Sabrina, 2 Research, a Giovanni, 2 Potion, 2 X Speed, 2 Pokeball, and a red card. So looking at the matchups that this player played against, there were 10 Swiss rounds and then top 16. So in the Swiss rounds, they only had 1 loss. That was against Wigglytuff Weezing. And then they did tie a Pikachu Zapdos mirror. And then they lost to Pikachu Zapdos in top 8. So, really well done by this player to get top 8 in such a massive event. Taking down a couple of mirrors here. They played a Pikachu Zapdos, a Gardevoir, Mewtwo, a Charizard, then lost to that Wigglytuff. Took down 2 more mirrors and then beat 2 more Charizards, another Mewtwo as well. Obviously, lots of mirrors happening with so many Pikachu Zapdos in the event. But yeah, this was the matchups for that top 8 deck. Moving on to the 7th place list, it's another Pikachu Zapdos deck. This time, instead of the Electro, though, we have the Zebstrika in here. The trainer counts are exactly the same as the previous list, just subbing out the 2/2 Electrode line for the 2/2 Zebstrika line. And that Zebstrika, of course, has the Thunder Spear attack for 1 lightning energy. This attack does 30 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. So targeting down benched Pokemon, or just doing good damage to the active for 1 energy on that Zebstrika. In this player's matchups, a ton of mirrors in the back half of the tournament. Started out against a Gardevoir Mewtwo. That was a win. Their only loss in Swiss was to a Pikachu Zapdos. They were able to take down a Marowak Primeape and a Marowak Sandslash, which can be sometimes difficult matchups for these Pikachu decks. And then ultimately they lost to a Charizard in top 8. For a 6th place list, that was the Mewtwo EX Gardevoir. A pretty standard Mewtwo list here. A couple of things to note though: 2/2 Gardevoir line, 2 Mewtwo EX. Obviously, that Gardevoir has the Psy Shadow ability that once during your turn you may take a Psychic Energy from your Energy Zone and attach it to the Psychic Pokemon in the active spot. It's a great way to power up our Mewtwo EX with that Psy Drive attack for 4 energy, does 150, and then you discard 2 Psychic Energy from this Pokemon. There's also the non-EX Mewtwo in here that basically has an attack very similar to Psy-Drive, that Power Blast for 4 energy. It does 120, and then you discard 2 Psychic Energy from this Pokemon. So just a little bit weaker version of Psy-Drive. Then 2 Research, 2 Sabrina, 2 Potion, 2 X Speed, 2 Pokeball, and a red card. Interesting thing in here, obviously, is that 1 prize Mewtwo being included, as well as no Giovanni. We'll take a look at the matchups for this player. Had a little bit of a different matchup spread than a lot of people. Didn't hit quite as many Pikachus, although they still did hit 4 of them in the Swiss rounds, beating all of the Pikachus that they hit except tying that round 10, probably an ID into top cut. So the only loss in those Swiss rounds was to Charizard. And then in top 8, they ended up losing to Pikachu Zebstrika. Our 5th place deck was a Charizard EX deck, and this one is fairly standard aside from one of the trainers down here that we'll take a look at, but a 2/2/2 Charizard line. Obviously, Charizard has that Crimson Storm attack for 200 damage, 4/4 energy, and then you discard 2 fire energy attached to this Pokemon. And we're powering that up through the use of the Moltres EX with that Inferno Dance attack. For 1 fire energy, you flip 3 coins and take any amount of fire energy from your energy zone equal to the number of heads you get and attach it to your bench to fire Pokemon in any way that you like. And 2 Sabrina, 2 Research, 2 Potion, 2 X Speed, 2 Pokeball, 1 red card, and 1 Hand Scope. That Hand Scope, a little bit interesting, maybe just rounding out the list there. I think there could be an argument just, make that a second red card or make it a Giovanni or something like that. But very well done for this player, getting 5th place out of 1,100 players in this tournament. Taking a look at their matchups, they hit 3 Gardevoir Mewtwo in the Swiss rounds and beat them all, but then Gardevoir Mewtwo was what they ended up losing to in top 8. And then their only loss in the Swiss rounds was to Pikachu Zebstrika. They did hit 1 Marowak deck, looks like 5 Pikachus in Swiss rounds, 1 Charizard, and then 3 of the Gardevoir Mewtwo. They were able to take down a Pikachu Zapdos in top 16, and then, like we said, lost to that Gardevoir Mewtwo in top 8. Moving on to our 4th place list, it is another Charizard, and this version of the deck is very similar to the one we just looked at. But instead of that hand scope, they did include the 1 prize Charizard, which has the Fire Spin attack. Again, it's just a little bit weaker version of the EX Crimson Storm attack. Instead of doing 200, it does 150, but it also discards 2 fire energy from this Pokemon. So a good option for a 1 prize attacker in the deck as well. And the matchups for this player, they lost round 1 of Swiss and then went all the way to round 10 where they were able to ID probably into top cut. Very interesting matchup spread here for this player as well. They didn't hit a lot of Pikachus along the way. They lost to a Pikachu Raichu in round 1. And they hit a Ninetales Rapidash, a few Articuno decks, Alakazam Weezing, 3 Gardevoir Mewtwo's, another Alakazam Weezing, and then they were able in top 8 to beat 2, or top 16 and top 8, they beat 2 Pikachu Zapdos before losing to Gardevoir Mewtwo in top 4. 3rd place list then, we have a Pikachu Zapdos Zebstrika deck with a 1 Pincurchin. Obviously that Pincurchin has the Thunder Shock attack for 2 lightning energy, it does 30, and you flip a coin if heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. And then rounding out the list with 2 Giovanni, 2 Sabrina, 2 Research, 2 Potion, 2 X Speed, and 2 Pokeball. Their matchups here, they won 9 Swiss rounds in a row, beating, it looks like, 5 Gardevoir Mewtwo's, although one of these was a Mewtwo Hypno. Not exactly sure what that deck list looked like, but they beat 5 Mewtwo decks, a Charizard, and 3 Pikachu decks before losing to Gardevoir Mewtwo in that round 10. Then they were able to beat a Pikachu Zapdos in top 16, a Gardevoir Mewtwo in top 8, and then ultimately losing to a Pikachu Zapdos in that top 4. Now we are on to our 2nd place list, our finalist with Gardevoir Mewtwo. Gardevoir Mewtwo getting 2nd place in an 1,100 player online tournament, showing that it is one of the top decks in the game right now and able to hang with that Pikachu deck, which we all know is the best deck in the format right now. This deck a little bit different than the one we looked at previously, having that 1 prize Jinx in here with that Psychic attack for 2 energy, does 30 plus 20 more energy for each, or 20 more damage for each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. So a little bit more of an economical 1 prize attacker in the deck than the other Mewtwo that we saw. Then rounding out the list with 2 Research, 2 Giovanni, 1 Sabrina, 2 X Speed, 2 Pokeball, 1 Potion, and 1 red card. So very well done by this player, making it this far into the tournament. They went fully undefeated in Swiss rounds. They took down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Pikachu decks, 2 Gardevoir Mewtwo mirrors, a Alakazam Weezing, and a Starmie Articuno in those Swiss rounds. They tied the Pikachu Raichu here, I guess, in round 9. And then in top 16, they were able to beat another Pikachu. In top 8 and top 4, they bested these Charizard decks, which, if those get going fast enough, can be pretty tough for Mewtwo, as the Mewtwo cannot one-shot the Charizard EX. And then they finally lost to our champion in the finals. So looking at our champion list, this is the first place list. And to no surprise to anyone, it is Pikachu EX with that Zebstrika. This is seeming to be the best deck in format by a mile right now. And yeah, we've taken a look at a list very similar to this already. So we're just going to take a look at this player's matchup spread here. In the Swiss rounds, they bested 2 Gardevoir Mewtwo's, 2 Marowak Primates, a Wigglytuff Weezing, lost to a Gardevoir Mewtwo, then beat 2 Mirrors, beat a Ninetales Rapidash, tied a Gardevoir Mewtwo, and then they beat 3 Mirrors all the way through top 16, top 8, and top 4, finally beating their final Mewtwo in the finals. So Pikachu really establishing itself as the best deck in format right now. And I think Gardevoir Mewtwo also establishing itself as the second best deck in the format right now. So if you're trying to figure out what to play in TCG Pocket, I think it's becoming pretty obvious that the best 2 decks are Pikachu, and I think Pikachu is way out ahead of Mewtwo, but Pikachu is definitely that best deck in format, and I would say Mewtwo is just under that as well. Um, if you're not interested in either of those decks, it looks like to me that Charizard is probably the third deck that you might want to pick up in TCG Pocket. So hopefully that gave you guys a good idea of what happened in this massive 1100 player online event. Well played by all of the players who were able to make it into top 8. Very cool to see competitive TCG Pocket taking off, and I can't wait to see more tournaments. But if you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video.